But Padri's hands were swollen, and it was decided that he had to be taken to the Ahmednagar hospital to have his blisters treated. Rustom requested Baba to accompany them in the car. Adi said he would drive, and Baba immediately became displeased with his brusqueness. Adi then voiced his anger at Baba. However, when they reached Ahmednagar, he asked for Baba's forgiveness and was pardoned. Padri's hands were treated and he was kept in the hospital to recuperate. In his absence, Ramjoo became the manager of Meherabad, taking over Padri's duties and awakening the mandali at 5 o'clock each morning. Although Rustom was living with his family in Ahmednagar, he was under Baba's orders and was responsible for handling supply shipments to Meherabad. For some time he failed to send the load of lime on schedule, and Baba became impatient as the work was delayed. On April 17th, he sent Nervous to Ahmednagar with instructions to fall on his knees before Rustom and say, "On behalf of Meherabad, I salute you. Please send the lime." Nervous did it, and Rustom in turn told him, "Kindly offer my salutations to Meherabad 20 times, and tell him I was not negligent in sending the cart, since his order to me was I should not hire a bullock cart, and our cart did not turn up in time." Rustom, however, soon sent another cart piled with lime to Meherabad. Later, during the same day, Baba scolded Masaji for preparing more food than necessary. Masaji angrily shouted back, "I am fed up with this. If permitted, I am ready to leave Arangawan." Baba retorted, "If you don't find my words to your liking, it is better that you do leave." Masaji answered, "I don't take your bitter words or your taunting to heart. But how am I to know if you are really serious or not when you say I am wasting food?" "If you mean what you say and if you understand this," said Baba, "then you've understood everything about me." Baba soon calmed, telling Masaji, "It's all right, you may stay." Padri, Gulmai, and Rustom came in the afternoon while the men were engaged in reciting the prayer of the names of God. Gulmai had brought special food for Baba. He ate only a little and distributed the rest to the mandali. A group of Hindu devotees came to Meherabad from Kedgaon, the farming village near Narayan Maharaj's headquarters, and presented a bhajan music program that lasted until midnight. Ramjoo broke out in a fever during this singing, and Baba freed him from attending the occasion. By April 18th, repairs to the bathroom were completed, and installation of stone flooring in front of Baba's jopti began. Upon inspection, Baba became displeased with Rustom for sending 2 loads of stone flooring in hired bullock carts, and stormed over to the post office building where the mandali were resting. He disrupted their relaxation, telling them, "If such things continue, I will leave Meherabad and forsake all of you." Rustom knew why Baba was upset and showed his nervousness. In this way, he learned the lesson that the master did not like more money spent than was necessary. Ramjoo's high fever continued, and Baba applied eau de cologne to his forehead. He later rebuked the other men for their pain. "You all still possess too much selfishness. When this goes away, thoughtlessness will also leave you, and you will be helpful to others in their suffering. Abandon your selfish thoughts and live for others." Because of Rustom's extravagance and the mandali's lack of care towards Ramjoo, Baba threatened to move to Happy Valley with Nervous. Ramjoo pleaded with him that he could not remain at Meherabad in his absence without proper medical care. Baba asked him to go either to Rustom's house or to the hospital. Ramjoo preferred the former, but added that it would be better if he were sent home. Baba then said he would cancel going to Happy Valley on condition that someone agreed to manage things in the post office and another to supervise the labor work. Padri chose the latter, but no one came forward to handle the domestic affairs. Finally, Rustom agreed to it. Then Gustaji said he would become the manager, so Rustom was freed of this responsibility, and Baba approved of the new arrangement. Meher Baba had warned the men about the difficulties of living with a guru, and would voice his concern over the difficulties of living at Meherabad with him. Discoursing that same evening, the master remarked, "Maya, the pull of illusion, always does its best to attract everyone toward it, and it is a stumbling block in the path of truth. The purpose behind this is that once a person attains truth by realizing God as self, Maya must become his handmaiden. Maya rolls beneath the feet of a realized one. Its powers conquer a man stuck in ignorance, but the man of knowledge rules it." Hanuman is considered one of the greatest of Lord Ram's disciples. The Hindu mandali celebrated Hanuman's birthday on April 19th. However, when the program was over, Gulmai and Rustom arrived with the arti materials. Their late arrival upset Baba, who complained, "Why did you bother to come at all?" But Rustom explained that they had had a flat tire on the way. Baba accepted this mishap, then distributed sweets. And he extended the Hanuman celebration another hour, thus enabling the mandali a rare occasion to enjoy some sweet prasad. A couple of hours after dinner, Baba gathered all the men outside the Jopti hut and inquired about the activities of the day. He then pointed to Masaji and asked if there were any leftover food. Masaji replied affirmatively. Baba then asked the Hindu cook, Chowdhury, who replied, "At times there is, but I never throw it away. I share it with Kundiram." Hearing this, Baba reproved all the Parsi, Irani, and Muslim men and sternly asked Masaji, "Why do you people waste food? The Hindu mandali never do so because they value food." Masaji explained that he cooked less that day than yesterday. No one else said anything. Then Gustaji uttered a critical remark. Baba did not like Gustaji's comment and ordered, "Tomorrow each Parsi, Irani, and Muslim must fall at the feet of every Hindu." Baba then suddenly confronted Bar Soap. "Will you fall at their feet?" Not getting a quick answer, he was extremely vexed and slapped Bar Soap soundly. Wow. He then slapped Nervous and harshly knocked him aside. He then turned to the mason, Kairundi. But instead of striking him, Baba urged him to work harder, asking him if he would be able to work extra hours that night. Kairu said that if it were an order he would do so, although he was quite exhausted. Baba then told him to go to sleep. Baba then asked the mandali to dig holes 2 feet deep for the planting of jasmine tree saplings and flower bushes around his jopti. After the holes were dug, there was another exchange of sharp remarks between Gustaji and Baba. Gustaji frankly accused Baba of breaking his promise not to interfere with managing Meherabad and deliberately creating this incident regarding the leftover food. Gustaji was bold.
But he was on the dark side.
Yeah. he could.
He could do that.
Yeah. But Ghani would challenge him too.
They were like school friends.
Yeah. Baba retorted, "Had I not kept my word, I would not for one moment have tolerated your sharp tongue. It is because of this promise that I do not pay attention to your insulting behavior. Had it been anyone else of the mandali who said what you said, I would have killed him." Wow. This silenced Gustaji and the other men. Gustaji, well, this is a while. That girl's ears would have burned. She would have just run from our place. Gustaji reestablished himself as the household manager, and Baba promised once again not to interfere. But the master is beyond promises, and words cannot bind him. There was a deeper significance to his creating an uproar over the food. The Hindu mandali had their food cooked separately, and according to their orthodox views, would not eat food prepared by others. This confrontation was the beginning of doing away with their prejudice. The master, in a very natural way, abolished this distinction of different food for different mandali. But it was to require 2 more years to do so. On April 20th, Gulmai and Rustom arrived at 4 in the afternoon with special food for Baba. They brought a copy of the Gujarati newspaper, Akhbar, in which a review of Upasni Maharaj's biography appeared. Sorabji Desai had written an article in the same newspaper stating that he had met Baba and fully believed that he was the coming of the Jagat Guru, master of the universe, the avatar. That's Mansari's uncle, or?
Yeah, that's what
Uncle. Gulmai used to come every day to Meherabad, bringing Baba's food. Due to her financial help, as well as that of Rustom and Adi, the system of work in Meherabad was greatly facilitated. The stone flooring for the Japji was expected to be completed within a week, but was finished in only 2 days. The month of April is the middle of summer in Maharashtra state, and the heat was intense. But despite this, much work was accomplished. The next morning, while the mandali were engaged in their duties, Baba came and said, "Today Naval is coming, and he will definitely bring fruit for all." He repeated this, but when Naval arrived from Bombay with his wife Dina and her mother Rupamai, he had not brought any fruit. Baba scolded him for disappointing the mandali and said, "Just see how they are slaving away in the summer sun. They are working like mules, but there is no need for them to feel desperate. Some other treat will surely come." Time Gulmai and Rustom arrived from Ahmednagar with a bundle of sweets, along with the happy news that Frani had given birth to a son that day. Baba distributed in honor of the happy occasion. The master named the newborn child after himself, Merwan.
So is that Meherabad's older brother? Is that Rustom? Rustom? Rustom and Frani? Is that their first son?
Rustom is Adi's brother.
And he married Meherabad's sister.
Oh, yeah.
So that Meherabad's brother, older brother.
Oh, yeah, Merwan. I wonder where he's at.
They're not with Baba.
Oh, wow.
And one of them is in Canada. Or somewhere in the
that
West.
one, yeah.
There's three of them, two boys and a girl, I think.
Yeah.
And one of them is in Canada.
Ah.
I'm going to slip out quietly. I just to let you know, Rosalie, I tried again to travel. They're not going to let me travel.
Oh.
So
Jai Baba
have a good trip to Los Angeles. Thank you so much, my brother.
To where?
I have to work in Vegas for a week.
Oh, Vegas.
I didn't think I was the only one. Then I thought, well, gee, maybe I shouldn't have said anything because nobody else is admitting it.
You see it. That's nice that you see it, Kennedy.
I've had those feelings. I've been there too.
This has been great.
Well, I've never even been to India, but I can see mountains and little streams and grass and, just the whole 9 years.
That's amazing.
Don't have a clue as to what it is, but I see people walking around.
So in your mind's eye, you see Baba, young Baba, and...
It started years ago when I was reading Godman. This is not, like 2 weeks ago. I'm talking 20 years.
Yeah, okay.
When I started reading the Godman, I could see all that stuff. I could see Baba's mouth moving and all that. I used to dream that stuff at night.
Oh.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know, Fred. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I think people have a hard time because they try to intellectualize Baba too much. And we think that, I think I've got to understand you. But when it comes to Baba, I don't have to understand you at all. And we get caught into this thing, gee, I don't want to, do this because of Fred. Well, that's not why we're here, my friend. That ain't, it'd be nice if we could do that like that. But it don't.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah, it's not, and we shouldn't, we get caught up, looking at the wrong side of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
We're here for such a short time.
Yeah.
Such a short time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And not only are we here for a short time, we're food. See, we're so conditioned to looking at this experience from one perspective. Basically, I call it from the outside in. See, in other words, I look at the books of Meherabad, but then I look back into my life. That's backwards. I'm supposed to be looking from the inside of my life and analyzing, That's the two things that's hard to do.
That's also if you just picked up and dedicated your life, say, just to memorizing probably one of these books, you'd probably complete a life's
Did I ever tell you what I did?
A life's journey that'd be well worth living a whole 90 years if you could know this book.
When I was about 24, 25 years old, remember the old 3-volume set of discourses?
Yeah.
Okay, now you know how they have italics in each edition?
Right.
One time I wanted to understand discourses so bad, I actually went through each volume of discourses and everything that was italicized in all 3 volumes. I had a notebook with all that stuff. So I'd be sitting somewhere, at a park in the summertime or something, reading through this my notebook. So I come along, what are you reading in there? And I show them this quote, but I actually wrote down every single italicized quote. Then I went back and got the bold print. Then I went back and got the heading of the paragraph, the bold print, and the italics.
It's so hard to share Baba's depth with newcomers or strangers. Like, again, as I told Rosalie before, I think I told you about, I'm on the internet, American Online.
No.
This Sufi girl, a Baba follower, well, she knows Baba, her name's Vivian Torres. She's in Walnut Creek. She just stumbled across me in a chat room and looked up my profile. You could look up my people. She saw my name, Gigi Fred, is the name we use, and she's called Rainbow and Roses is what. But she looked up my handle and she says, Chai Baba. She knew I was a Baba lover, and so she then invited me to a room. It's a private room where all her friends are. And these are people from all over the country. They're not Sufis. They're just people that are into spiritual type things and so forth. But they're not as into the depth of Meherabad. A lot of them even know where Meherabad is. And so sometimes I try to share some of Meherabad's, words or depth or thoughts. These people are really just thrown. They're not into the deeper meaning they're into this shallowness of I mean, the path. I mean, they're on the path, but they're, you know what I'm saying? They're probably at a place where we were before. And so my enthusiasm for talking to these people has diminished.
Oh yeah.
Because of this. I mean,
the fact of the
you
matter,
know, because well, it's been fun. We talked friendly. There's a nice woman. She's in her 50s in Indianapolis, and this other lady. You know, we're very friendly. How are you, Fred? Nice to see you. And you're funny. I tell jokes and stuff. You know, just to banter in the room. You know, but then I sometimes bring up things about Baba, and I can tell right away these people suddenly are lost. I mean, they I don't know if they, a lot of Christian backgrounds too.
You know what I think it is, Fred? I think that on a true spiritual journey, the people you're around actually push you to another level. Push you to another level of either a mentally understanding, maybe even some kind of a heart understanding. I don't know that I can put it into words, but it's not static. It sure as heck does not stay in one place all the time. I'm almost convinced of that. And it really comes up when Charlie Morton and I stay around each other for longer than about 2 hours. We get on each other's nerves, big time. We can have some of the worst little spats, like these little things where you just say little things at each other and stuff. And it's so ironic because as soon as a statement is made, all the emotion is totally forgotten. That's how we know it's a Baba thing, and it's not something that he could take personally or that I could take personally. You know, it's bigger than we are. We understand that, and I think that's why that you would have a difficulty with that. Is because the people that really, or how do you say, are on this journey, they're not staying in one place. They're moving, and you can't keep up. I mean, it gets. I know it's not that easy. And love has something to do with it, but
you know, can I tell you?
It's a nice starting point.
I think our consciousness is elevated.
It is.
Year after year, month after month, week after week by knowing Baba.
Yes.
And you suffer, and your degree of suffering and intensity is increased also.
You're right.
And when you think you're supposed to be proceeding, advancing on the path, you feel you're going
losing ground.
You're losing ground. I've felt that.
Don't you feel terrible when you feel that?
Yeah. I felt frustrated. I have actually felt where I've gone as far as I could go.
Really?
With my own faculties of logic and
reason,
reason to disseminate, to study, to to think of things to better myself with. But then sometimes you go to India and you sense something is happening to you. And then you come back and do something in the States here that puts you back in survival or something. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that's what happened to me when I just came back from India. I came back from India in probably a state of grace, and I got involved with some stupid things here.
So since you got back?
Yeah.
You're kidding, you've only been back a month.
Yeah, what happened was
the details aren't important.
No, but what I'm just trying to say is, I felt like I lost. I did. For the past 20 years.
Just since you've been back from India? Oh, Fred, you need some more hot water in that tea.
No, Fred.
What is Baba's meditation?
If you open that book
volume,
right there.
What volume is it?
Volume 2 of the 3 set. I don't even look at the
discourses. Is it in the new one too?
Probably, I'm sure it is.
So, but
you know how I know it is? Because of all the subjects in this book right here, of all the subjects.
What does it say
in here? There's more on meditation and what your mind is supposed to think than any other subject.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
But what does it say? Can you paraphrase it?
Yeah. It's as important to watch what you think as it is to watch what you eat. And that's a direct quote.
It's true.
That is a direct quote from there. Well, in volume 3, they edited. I don't know if it got edited out.
So what you're saying, in the morning when you get up early,
Yeah.
you could place your thoughts, you could put your mind in a nice place. It's like as though you were eating.
No, I don't mess around with my own thing. I go right to the book here. Years and years ago, I drew up. I won't go into the real into the first 2 sections. Oh yes, see, they even took the chart out. Hold on. I don't even think that. Oh no, okay. Yeah, see this right here? Oh no, that's the second one. That's another one. Here, well, let's go over here to the real one. We can come back to that. This one here, see this right here? If you were to just do that, meditation on the divine qualities of the Master, Baba explains right in there that when you meditate on Baba's divine qualities, those qualities become part of your personality. Okay? When you concentrate on the form of the Master, you know, you get a picture of Baba, when you look at it, you concentrate on that, the Master becomes the ideal of how does he put that? Your spiritual ideal. In other words, it not only works on the conscious mind, it does some stuff on the unconscious mind. Fred, this is why we get caught in those sanskar traps. We can't get out of it. That's why he wrote all this stuff. But people, they say, oh, Kennedy, I'm not so sure about that. I'm convinced myself. Right? Meditation of the heart. It's another one. You sit there and you just think of loving Baba. I mean, at 4 o'clock in the morning, in the Guideman, Baba says the best time to do this is before all these other minds start operating, because you react to those other minds.
It takes away, or you pick up the different
Like
noise. And then meditation of action is the next one.
Let's see, the only thing I
Meditation
ever...
of action.
Yeah, but I dedicate myself in the selfless service of I know this stuff by heart. I dedicate myself in the selfless service of the Master of Humanity. That one has 3 sections to it. No, I'm sorry. I mentally offer the Master all that is good or evil within me. I dedicate myself in the selfless service of the Master or humanity. And the meditation of action, the last part in that particular one is, let's say I'm drinking tea. The Master is drinking tea, not Kennedy is drinking tea. So you see how far removed I'm getting away in each one of those? It happens all the way down the thing.
Meditation regarding the numerous forms of manifested life.
Yeah, everything in creation. The different meditation regarding the different forms of manifested life. So you just think about those things. Okay? This one here.
Meditation regarding one's own body.
Yes. Thoughts of in that one you're saying something like thoughts of detachments concerning one's own gross, subtle, and mental body. Because where's my awakened consciousness at? I'm thinking about Kennedy. My gross body, my subtle body, my desires, my mental body, my mind. In this meditation, I'm detaching myself. Thoughts of detachment concerning one's own gross, subtle, and mental body. You can lose, Fred, I've actually felt this. You actually just lose consciousness. And this is
meditation on the formless and infinite aspect of God.
That's when you like look at a patch of blue in the sky, or you can do it at nighttime too. That you're as infinite as the darkness within, or the blue sky within, or the ocean as a sign of infinity.
Quest for the age.
You keep that image in your mind. Yeah, that's who is this I? You know, let's say I might have to go for a walk. Let's put it more concrete. Like I'm driving. Who is really driving this car? Who is this I? If I'm walking down the street, who is this I? That's what that meditation is concerned with.
And number 9, considering oneself as a witness.
Right. And that one, that's when you consider yourself as a witness to all mental and physical events. They took off the last section in this new edition, but there's actually another part.
And then writing down thoughts.
Right. That's when you write down the thoughts. You don't write.
In other words, while you're in a meditation.
Well, yeah, so you go through each. I spend 5 minutes on each one. It takes me an hour and a half to do this. This is just the second part of what I do. There's another part, some other stuff in there that's you really have to dig for.
Oh, so in other words, you could say, I'm going to do number 1, 5 minutes. I'm going to do number 2, and then eventually it could become a habit that become. And then the next one is watching mental operations, number 11.
Okay.
And you just see the mind working, and you say, where's that coming from? Or
what Bible talk, this stuff. When you get down in these two here,
and making the mind blank.
Yeah, that's when
you have it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful, Kenny. I'm happy.
I've been doing that for years.
But I'm happy you explained it so...
You should do this stuff.
Well, can I tell you in all honesty, I've read a lot of Baba's books, but I have a bad habit of not really understanding them. I've read meditation like as though
you haven't heard enough, Fred.
Well, I read this. Well, I read this.
If you'd heard as much as I did as a young man, you'd have found something to do.
I'm so pleased that you just shared that with me, because I've read that page like a textbook, only as a reference, not as a deep, insightful practice like you just gave it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to break up our mental patterns.
But I could see if you did that, each 5 minutes would be a 60 minutes. There's 12 things.
No, there's more than that.
There's more. Well, I'm just saying, if you just did that one page, you'd have an hour of meditation, which would be beautiful. If you could sort of like get that down to where you could try to do 5 minutes on each one. I mean, it would probably put you in some nice places.
It does. When you get up in the morning, you go outside, you have a different take on the whole planet. Because you know, what happens is you really understand what Bob was talking about when he talks about all these messages and all this stuff. You really do get a grasp on it. And I spend 90 minutes on it when I do it in totality. That one plus there's some other things that he's got up in the front part. Remember I showed you 2 of those graphs? There's another one up there too.
Right.
Do you set an alarm to get up, Kennedy? What time do you get up?
Yeah, I do. I get up anywhere from 2 o'clock to 4:30.
What time you go to bed?
Whenever I have to. I'll go to bed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon if I have to go to sleep.
Oh.
It does not matter. When I get on that, I discovered this in 1975, 76.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking, 21 years ago? When I first started to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was in the bed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
because I could not get up at 3 to save my life.
No, but what I'm saying is, but you couldn't wait to get up to go through the experience that you were going to have. So you said, I'm going to go to bed at 5 so I can get 8 hours and get up at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thought, just to feel the enthusiasm you had for doing this. Because you have to be dedicated, and you have to love what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, what does it matter what time you go to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
I will admit to one drawback, though. I will admit to one drawback. The only thing I don't like about it. You know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
You will fall in love. You will fall in love.
With what?
With somebody. With a person. You have to love somebody. You cannot do those meditations without loving somebody. Because not only do you love life once you start to get into it and really understand what's going on, but you want to direct that love into a person. That's the only thing I don't like.
Well, I have Gigi, so I'm happy.
Well, right. Well, you could do it.
Because I love her very dearly.
You would focus so much.
It probably would just make me a better person. I'm total like it worked, because like I was telling you.
You should try it, Fred. Especially the part where you write down writing down your thoughts on there. See, Baba says, don't think of what it is you're going to write down. It comes to your mind, right? You'd be surprised at some garbage you got down in your brain, dude, that'll come out on some paper. I got stuff, you're brave because you say things. I got stuff that's come out of my mind that's never reached my lips. I've written down doing some of those meditations. I'm like, Baba, did I really think that?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, it's, I recommend it for everybody. But I will say, if you're not ready to fall in love, don't do it. The difficulties that I've had, and I'm at this stage of my life now where, I can't get away from it anymore, so I'm getting back into doing it all the time. But for years, I said, well, Baba, I'll do it, this week, but next week I got to skip it because I didn't want that love thing coming up, because you're going to love somebody, too. You're going to, and not only that, you'll attract love to you, too. It's not a totally one-way street. I meet a lot of different,
I can see why. You're like a transmitter in your thoughts. And if you have these beautiful thoughts, I have been in that state, I guess, to where you're just thinking happiness and love and care and thinking about Baba, and you don't even say something to a person. Sometimes you meet a stranger, and there's a certain connection, because they probably connect with. You don't even talk to them ever. Maybe they just acknowledge you, but you feel comfortable, and they look at you in a loving way. Because it's probably like you say.
That's exactly.
They're picking up on your thoughts, and maybe it's something one day science will measure, and they'll measure the aspect of the amazing thing that's going on in the thought form world. Because we, as our gross, whatever.
I think that's
consciousness
going to be Baba's new humanities when that kind of stuff starts to happen.
Yeah. Well, there's been some inference in some scientific fields about mind waves, and
you know. Mathematics, whatever 5% thought about, they could actually convert the other 95% into doing it if the waves were positive. Used to come on channel 28 all the time.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi,
He was
had a powerful
yeah.
influence on. Oh, look at what the George Harrison, the Beatles, even I think Paul McCartney. I think they went to see him. They visited.
Yeah, they visited.
But I do that, dude. What you should do is try it. Try it. I would venture to say this. If you try it 3 days, and see, don't do like I do, because sometimes, like yesterday, I got up, I think it was like 4:30. That's okay. But if you really want to feel it, dude, get up about 10 minutes to 3, take a shower, and be real clean, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, you start thinking about Baba. Let me tell you, you will not laugh after that, dude. You will start to get a real vibe from what Meherabad is talking about. You don't have to take my word for it. Baba writes this stuff in God, man.
I sensed it.
He's written more about that. You go through discourses. There's more written about meditation than any of, even Maya, even reincarnation, all that stuff. There's more written about meditation.
I've always poo-pooed meditation with Baba because I was under the impression Baba says it's too noisy, or Baba or somebody. People were saying it's too noisy to meditate in this era, in this time. And so I'd always thought that the chapters of meditation and the discourses were just reference material.
No.
That Baba was just giving.
I've heard people say that before.
Yeah, no, what I'm just saying, I'm so happy that you emphasize this point, because now it's cleared up my thoughts about it. Yeah. And I really felt good when you outlined the procedure on reflections on these 12,
I used to have a notebook.
12 steps in the others.
I used to have a notebook with all that stuff in there. I had to know. You got to remember, you're talking to a person that lost his mother and father when he was 22 years old and had $150,000 in the bank. I was not a poor kid, So there was other stuff going on in my life that I had to get squared away on.
What you're saying is...
Yeah, it's not like, I was so self-righteous to the point where I was, exactly. I wasn't self-righteous to the point where I could say, well, okay. I was like desperate. I'm thinking, hey, I know Meherabad is right. Well, where is he right? Nobody could tell me that. What Pat got? My discourses? I could still remember downtown Freddie Brown. We're in Milwaukee playing the Bucks when Kareem was still there. And Fred looked over there and said, hey, man, what are you reading? He said, I'm glad to meet you. I always wanted to meet you. I've read a lot about you, heard a lot about you. I'm glad we're roommates. I had a copy of God Speaks. He goes, what do you read? I started reading God Speaks. He got up and walked out the door.
Who is that, Kareem?
No,
it was really funny.
Oh.
But I heard somebody gave Kareem a copy of God Speaks later on.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Some Babylon.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But anyway, that's amazing, though. See, well,
and Fred and I, we're still great friends. I talk to him about once a month now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
He works for a bank, Sea First National Bank.
That's cool. Yeah. So should we just try to read a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, you want to let Kennedy finish?
Kennedy, where are we at?
I wanted to read some. Do you remember where it was?
I read Hanuman.
Oh, was it Baba suddenly confounded smart soap when you fall?
Oh, yeah.
You're right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, we were down here.
Oh, at the bottom. Right here.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we read that too.
Well, maybe we should pick up. That'd be okay to pick up there. Start there.
Barbary toilet? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, the avatar.
Oh, okay, the avatar right there.
Right here.
I don't see that.
On 615. Mid-page, avatar.
Oh, okay, that's where you start. Okay.
Where? I still don't see that.
See, go right here. Go my used to.
Yeah, right. The avatar is not the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. Golmai used to come every day to Meherabad, bringing Baba's food. Due to her financial help as well as that of Rustom and Adi, the system of work in Meherabad was greatly facilitated. The stone flooring for the Japti was expected to be completed within a week, but was finished in only 2 days. I remember hearing this.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
repeat.
keep reading.
That's
It's
all right.
Okay.
It's okay to refresh. Go ahead.
Okay. The month of April is the middle of summer in Maharashtra state, and the heat was intense. But despite this, much work was accomplished. The next morning, while the mandali were engaged in their duties, Baba came and said, "Today Naval is coming, and he will definitely bring fruit for all." He repeated this, but when Naval arrived from Bombay with his wife Dina and her mother Rupami, he had not brought any fruit. Baba scolded him for disappointing the mandali and said, "Just see how they are slaving away in the summer sun. They are working like mules, but there is no need for them to feel desperate. Some other treat will surely come." After a short time, Gomai and Rustom arrived from Ahmednagar with a bundle of sweets, along with the happy news that Frini had given birth to a son that day. Baba distributed sweets among the mandali in honor of the happy occasion. The master named the newborn child after himself, Merwan. Now there's a footnote here, Fred.
I read the footnote.
It doesn't have a page, it just has a little thing
Well,
right
the
there.
page is here.
6:15.
Look in the back of the book, 615, and it'll say.
It's just short. Rustom and Frani's son Merwan was later known as Melu.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Right? Brother Jal had been traveling with Baba and was now living with the mandali at Meherabad. On April 22nd, Adi and Jal were given the duty of watering the jasmine saplings that had been planted on both sides of the Japti and all the plants around Meherabad from 7:30 to 10 a.m. and from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. and were therefore freed from other work. That afternoon, a strange-looking person came near the well and, after quenching his thirst, indicated he was hungry. Jal and Adi were taken aback and brought him to Baba, who appeared delighted with his arrival and explained that the man was a must, a god-intoxicated person traversing the inner planes. The must was served food and given sweets. He was also questioned, but his language was quite unintelligible. Baba put a new shirt and a new pair of pants on him, then sent him away on the road, although his name was to enter Meherabad. On another day, an old woman and her two sons came begging in the evening. They were brought to Baba, who asked Chowdhury to prepare dal and rice for them. Baba asked the elder son to sing and play the musical instrument he carried. He sang the life stories of two Hindu saints, Gopi Chand and Ma Chindra Nath. Baba appeared touched by the songs. They were given...
You know who sings that? Katie. Gopi Chanila. Remember? Katie sang those.
And you know,
Katie sang them here.
Yeah.
That's the song Katie has sung. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Gopi Chanila.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
I would have never put that together if you hadn't said
What is that song again, Gopi? What?
And Machindra.
Yes.
Machindra Nath.
Yes. She has sung that. I've heard it.
I love her singing.
That's interesting. We'll have to get her to translate it to English sometime.
Because she sang it once at Jacko's house. Remember we had those late teas?
Yeah.
And Katie says, "I'm tired of talking. I have nothing to talk. Can I sing?" And they go, "Oh, okay."
I love her
Remember
singing.
that?
Right. Yeah. Baba appeared touched by the songs. They were given food, and Baba permitted them to depart after dressing them in new clothes. During this period, Gustaji was apparently busy all the time and thought he was working the hardest of anyone. When the other mandali were resting in the afternoon, he would have to water the recently cemented floors in the hot sun. Naval, too, had to do extra labor and was occupied in repairing a pump for the well. Due to the extra chores, Gustaji was in an irritable mood. For several days, a resentment had been brewing between Barsop and Gustaji. Barsop had asked Gustaji for a new prayer carpet for offering namaz, but his request was refused. Barsop was very angry and did not hold back his words, abusing Gustaji's miserliness as a tight-fisted household manager. That evening, when the mandali were gathered, Baba asked Barsoap, "Has your anger against Gustaji subsided?" Barsoap openly admitted that it had not. Baba then called him aside and said, "However someone may treat you, you should always be calm. However one may pierce you with sharp words, you should bear them quietly and with patience. This is real courage. A man may subdue a whole army, but be unable to control his own anger." The Master then commented about the humility of Jesus the Christ when he was tortured and crucified, then concluded, "According to the Sadguru Ramakrishna, there are three things which keep a person away from God. They are lust, anger, and greed. If you conquer these three enemies, you will become a Mahatma, great soul or pilgrim, or a Wali, mastermind. Who is a Mahatma or a Wali? He who controls his lust, anger, and greed."
It's a beautiful man, this man.
Yeah. No name, though.
That's actually him. I guess it must be the first month of
But I'm tired.
Meherabad.
You don't want to read?
I'm tired.
Okay, I'll finish. We've got just about 10 minutes to go before we shut down, so let's read some more of this beautiful book. As the days went on, things became harder, and because of the intense heat, arduous physical labor, and each man's own strong personality, tempers would flare. To make the mandali gain more control of themselves, Baba stated the following two rules. Each morning, every member of the mandali should touch the feet of every other member and say, "You are my brother." During the 24 hours of the day, if anyone expresses anger, I should be informed immediately. I will then fall at the offender's feet and salute him. Barsoap, a Muslim, countered, "The first rule is against the Shariat or customs of my religion." But Baba explained, "This rule only requires the touching of the feet with both hands. There is no question of either bowing down or laying one's head on another's feet." However, Barsoap insisted that it was against the Shariat to touch the feet of another. So Baba instructed that, instead of touching the feet, Barsoap should shake hands with the other men. Ramjoo was also a Muslim, and Baba then asked him, "Do you find any religious difficulty in following this?" Ramjoo replied, "I do not consider the rules to be against the Shariat, and I accept the first rule. But I will not report to you and allow you to touch my feet." Padri and Nervous also refused initially to abide by the second rule, but they agreed after Baba explained to them that it was his order. Baba then called Ramjoo aside and told him, "You have done what Barsoap did. Accept my wish on principle and carry it out without the least hesitation. What Shariat can exceed my wish? My wish is religion, and my wish is Shariat, and he who obeys it obeys the Shariat and fulfills the tenets of his religion. Always be mindful of my wish regardless of anything else." Ramjoo explained, "But I would not like it if you touched my feet. I revere you." "Why do you talk about likes and dislikes?" retorted Baba. "You should like whatever I like. If you don't follow my wish, how could you revere me? You cannot be a slave to your own wish and revere me at the same time." In reply, Ramjoo cited these poetic lines, "It will break my heart to see you touching my feet, and it will break my heart not to touch your feet." Ramjoo was quiet and could not say anything else. Baba then freed him from observing the second rule, telling him not to worry and forget it. To prevent stray cows and goats from destroying the jasmine saplings, a wire fence was erected on all four sides of the japti. Later it was proposed that a flag be flown near the japti, and on April 23rd a debate ensued about it. The Hindus said the color of the flag should be red, but Ramjoo objected, saying that red reflected only Vedant, and that green was better. Then the Hindus took objection, arguing that green was typically a Mohammedan color.
Oh my goodness.
The Parsis and Iranis disapproved of both colors, and to bring about accord, Baba proposed the flag should be of 7 colors. So that's how it originated.
Isn't that something?
We thought it was a rainbow.
Yeah, right.
But Baba had a dispute. Naval prepared a flag accordingly, and after it was sewn, it was hoisted near the master's japti in the evening. As the flag stirred, Baba remarked, "Do you know why I suggested a 7-colored flag? The 7 colors represent the 7 planes of consciousness." Meher Baba then specified the positioning of 2 colors. Red should be at the bottom of the flag and sky blue at the top. Arrangement of the 5 other colors is your decision. Wow. Then he added, besides representing the 7 planes of consciousness, these colors also represent sanskaras, impressions. The colors in the flag signifies man's rise from the grossest of impressions of lust and anger, symbolized by red, to the culmination in the highest state of spiritual God, symbolized by sky blue. That night, Ramjoo asked Baba, "What are the stars?" Stars, like planets, are spheres, but many of the planets are inhabited by human beings. They resemble the earth in culture, science, and in every way materially. But, from the spiritual point of view, our earth is the most advanced, for the perfect masters are born on this planet. These other planets seem far off from one another, but in reality they are close. After realization, a man finds them ensuing from himself in the millions, like tiny bubbles. He finds himself to be the source of everything, the maker of all. Although the gross spheres of the universes are different, the spiritual planes from beginning to end are one. There's a picture of Meher Baba seated in Meherabad during the 1920s and unidentified Arangan villagers alongside Masaji and Baidul. That's beautiful. Later, the Master explained that there exist in the physical cosmos 18,000 planets with human life forms, and millions of planets with evolutionary life forms, along with millions and millions of universes which are in a state of cosmic evolution. He clarified that Earth was the only planet where the process of involution occurred, that only on Earth do human beings experience the planes of spiritual consciousness. And he further explained that not only were the 5 perfect masters on Earth, but the entire 7,000 member spiritual hierarchy of saints and advanced souls. At this time, such esoteric points were not public knowledge. And there's a footnote on that. This is the 20s, remember? For explanation of Meher Baba's cosmology, the evolution of planets and universes, and the 7,000 members of the spiritual hierarchy, refer to the book God Speaks, pages 244 and 271 to 274.
Say that again, 244 is what?
Pages 244 and also 271 to 274. The two new rules came into effect, and accordingly to the second rule on April 24th, Meher Baba bowed down to Padri for not following his instructions. Nervous happened to be standing by, and to tease him, Baba bowed to him also. But Nervous took it seriously, and weeping was on the brink of leaving Meherabad. Baba tried to console him, saying, I bow to you on my own accord and not for any default on your part. There is nothing for you to object to. But Nervous remained adamant, and though willing to adhere to all of the master's other instructions, he was obstinate on leaving Meherabad, continuing to weep. So Baba exempted Nervous from the second rule, but this did not appease him, and he remained firm in his resolve to leave. At last, Baba permitted Nervous to go and offered him train fare, which he refused. Baba then asked, How will you travel without money? Nervous pointed to the gold buttons on his shirt, implying that he would sell them, and Baba ripped them off. Then Baba said, You can go on 2 conditions. 1 is that you beg for your food, and the other is that you do not borrow or steal. Nervous accepted these conditions and was about to leave when Baba added, Wherever you go, I will follow. Nervous started to leave Meherabad, and Baba followed him along the road. He began running, and Baba too began running, and returned along with Baba. After Nervous calmed down, Baba asked him, Why were you so dramatic? However, Nervous said, When I had not become angry or spoken harshly with anyone, why did you touch my feet? Baba replied, I did so because of some fault in you. Had I not touched your feet, how could you or others have known you had shortcomings? Had there been no offense, you could have remained quiet, considering it to be my wish. Although you have faults, you thought yourself faultless. I had to show you that you were not so. Then looking at each man, he said, Although you are faultless, still you are at fault, but I will free all of you from your weaknesses. So always listen to me and remember to carry out whatever I say. More construction began on the 25th of April to extend the veranda. Okay, let's edit right here. Well, let's just finish this one paragraph, because the next one changes to the Sanyazan.
Yeah.
More construction began on the 25th of April to extend the veranda of Baba's Japti and to build a private bathroom. Mera's white horse, named Sufi, also arrived in Meherabad that day. The horse was pure white and very beautiful. A section of the mess quarters were converted into a stable where the horse was to be kept. Although quite handsome, Sufi proved to have a devil of a spirit. Soon after he was bought, Baba applied vermilion to his forehead and sat on him for a minute. When he honored her horse in this manner, the men mandali felt the master's unique love for Mera. We'll end on that thought. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. We end at page 622, where we'll begin next time. Next Thursday. Jai Baba. Avata Meher Baba Ki Jai. Well, we're here at our news center at 1214 South Van Ness. This is the very first Lord Meher meeting. It's Tuesday, the 4th of March, 1997. And present are myself, Fred Stankus, Suhas Kindi, Billy Goodrum, Dana Stokes, Gus Williams, and Kathy Williams. Jai Baba. As we sit in the fireplace room, as I call it, also the bookstore. And we're reading from the biography of the Avatar of the Age, Meher Baba, Volume 2, 1922 to 1925. This is by our dear brother, beloved friend, Bao Kalchuri. And we're now on page 622. which is the Guru is everywhere. We'll begin. A wandering sannyasi, that's a woman, isn't it? Because the
sannyasi is a renunciant.
Oh, but they call them sannyasins too. But a sannyasi is a singular.
Same thing.
Singular, okay. Who was a recluse and an ascetic. One showed up at Meherabad during this period. He had heard of Meher Baba and wanted the master's darshan. He was dressed in an ochre-colored robe with long matted hair and a beard, and his whole body was smeared with ashes. Meher Baba asked him, "Who are you? Where do you come from, and where are you going?" The sannyasi, with evident pride, listed all the places of pilgrimage he had visited, and said he had now come to Meherabad. Baba asked, "Now what?" "I have come to have your darshan," the sannyasi said. "Then, from here I will go to Girnar. Then, go further and wander throughout Mount Abu. Then, I will proceed further and continue visiting holy places. Then what? I will continue roaming as I have been doing. For how long? Until I find my master. Once the master's grace descends, I will be free." When will that happen? Whenever it is destined. It is destined to realize God in the end, but no one has any idea of it. Everyone goes his own way. "What are we to do then?" pleaded the sannyasi. "Become dedicated to a guru. Such a one is not found or seen. Your eyes are to blame. The guru is everywhere. He is to be searched for and recognized. I am ready to find him. I will show you God, but would you do as I say?" Baba said. The sannyasi, as he was ready, said he was ready, and Meher Baba directed him to sit under a nearby tree. Baba told him to wait there and said he would give him instructions after some time. The sannyasi walked over to the tree and sat down. Baba became occupied with supervising the labor work of the mandali, during which some of the men were harshly scolded. After half an hour, Baba sent Padri to bring the sannyasi to him, but he was gone. And pictured here on this page is the sadhu met Meher Baba. This sadhu met Meher Baba. He's a typical of the many in India, covered with ashes and painted markings with long matted hair. And I think all of us in our travels probably have seen them on the road or somewhere in India.
Yeah.
So Suhas, you want to take the second page?
Guru's orders. Afterward, in a serious manner, Meher Baba explained to the mandali, "It is easy to renounce the world by wearing an ochre-colored robe, but to find a guru is very difficult. Surrenderance at his feet is even more difficult, but the most difficult of all is to carry out a guru's orders. Take that sannyasi, for instance. For years he has lived aloof, like a recluse. He has been visiting places of pilgrimage, undergoing hardships in the heat and cold. He has also made innumerable pilgrimages and will go on making them for years to come. But unless and until he surrenders to a guru, he will gain nothing. He will go on wandering with his face and body covered with ashes. Even if he comes in contact with a real guru, he understands nothing and flings away the cup which is very near his lips. I told him to sit underneath a tree, which he could not do for even half an hour. It is beyond one's capacity to realize God except by the grace of a master. And it is not easy to gain that grace. It requires the preparation of births and births to be worthy of it. Therefore, those who are living in the intimate contact of the Master are truly blessed. Later, describing a real lover of God, Meher Baba said, As a thirsty man under the scorching sun in the desert values water more than pearls or diamonds, so also a real lover of God only thirsts for him and considers everything else as dust before him. A real lover is not after name, fame, or wealth. He only yearns for God, his beloved. He who does not possess this attribute is full of selfishness. Later, when Ramjoo was reading to Baba from an Urdu book about the Sufi saint Mansoor, who was horribly martyred, you've heard of Mansoor, Baba critically said, "I will live in the world for 54 more years, after which I will undergo a tragic death. The Parsis will bring about my end in a most pitiless way." The meaning of Meher Baba's statement about his end is quite different from his physical death. At that inner work manifested in the form of opposition from Parsis and Iranis in Pune, Bombay, and Ahmednagar, and it lasted for some years. This opposition was a medium of his work, but it was so virulent it actually became a threat to his life. Well, I was explaining. But it actually became a threat to his life. There were plots to murder him.
To murder Baba?
Yes.
From the Parsis?
And also the Iranis, so he says here, because he was of them, but he was talking.
My God.
And Naushirwan at Baba's birthday talk said he dug up all this information he had on Colonel Irani, and there was another person who had used a lot of information that Baba had. Baba was a teacher at one time. He was called by the name of Bijli, which means electricity, because he had that persona, and he found a whole lot of information after these people had passed away, because he did a lot of research, and he found out the same material that they used to vilify Baba in the public, like printing stuff in the paper denouncing Baba and his game, and also not only Baba, but also Hazrat Baba Jan and Upasani Maharaj.
It was Colonel Irani.
Colonel M.S. Irani.
Colonel M.S. Irani, who was
Mehra's uncle.
It was Naushirwan's uncle also, and Paul Bruton.
The Englishman.
The Englishman that wrote that book In Search of Secret India,
exactly.
where he just totally bashed Baba.
Right.
And he had spent some time with Baba. So the three of them.
Paul Brunton.
Brunton,
Yes,
that's
Brunton,
it. Brunton,
but
that's it. Paul Brunton.
I remember.
He interviewed Baba. But the thing that I was explaining to Kathy was, regardless, in the kitchen a while back, and she just brought it to my attention, was that Baba picks certain people even to oppose him, because it's all a play to him. All of creation is a play. So some people are necessary. Sometimes opposition is necessary for other people's faith to be strengthened. And as I was explaining to Kathy, there are people even as we speak who oppose Baba and yet find themselves at the center or whatever. They don't really have that faith in Baba.
Sorry, example like my daughter's husband. He doesn't, come, but indirectly Baba chose him to be with us. Baba, had attention more on him than us. You know what I mean? Because he met in my family. Because I am, you know what I mean? Or Gigi, she says I am not Baba, but all this she works for Baba.
Indirectly, Baba is using her as a medium for his work in whatever way. We can't, break it down. So there is a purpose.
Yeah.
And I went and explained that even in Jesus' time, Jesus, in order to be crucified, needed a Judas, needed a Pilate, needed Herod, needed Caiaphas, the high priest, whoever was at that time, to oppose him. so that he could triumph. And that's the manifestation Baba talks about. Opposition may go against him, but those who have faith and believe in Baba will overcome. Obstacles are necessary. So it's all part of the game, and Baba's aware of this. But he allows people to even go against him. You follow what I'm saying? So there were plots to murder him. Coincidentally, after Baba made this statement, the Zoroastrian community's opposition gradually began to subside. And some Parsis and Iranis approached him as a genuine master. And several eventually became his disciples. A religiously devout man named Bharucha was time. He would regularly fast and do japas. That's repetition of with beads, repetition of God's name, repetition of God.
Rosary, like a rosary.
Exactly, repeating a mantra, mental repetitions of a prayer or the name of God. That's what japa means. On April 25th, Meher Baba gathered the mandali and told each to sing a song. Everyone did so, and he then asked Bharucha to sing, who replied indignantly, "I never go to plays or movies, and I don't know how to sing. Kindly excuse me."
I could imagine what he said.
Hearing this, Baba became exasperated and angrily told him, "Have you such a low opinion of these men that you compare them to actors? Have you ever thought of their renunciation? They have renounced their own pleasure to keep my pleasure, and do all work according to my wish. Is there any austerity or penance which is greater or can compare with this? Don't have such foolish ideas about them." Embarrassed, Bharucha sought Baba's pardon, and the singing continued until 9 at night. Those who did not have gifted voices had to sing anyway, and it was amusing to listen to them quite out of harmony and out of tune. And at the bottom we have a photograph of Baba, Meher Baba at Meherabad with his disciples during 1920s. Vishnu carrying a gamela on his head. That's the metal container they used to gather stones for a building. They were working on the property there. So we are pretty much here today in a similar situation of rebuilding. I mean, imagine what Meherabad looked like when they first got there. It was a desert. And what is it today? We've all been there. And then there's Chagan, Baba, Brother Jal, Pendu, Kodu, who was nicknamed Sailor, and Brother Beram holding a gamela. Right there. It's an iron vessel.
Like a pan to give it to each other's hand.
Yes, but it's quite large, and they put bricks or stone for building purposes. And that's what they had to do in this. Diet and sexuality. That day Baba had fasted, drinking only rose syrup and watermelon juice mixed in milk. On April 26th, after the yoga labor was over, during the afternoon break, the master gave a brief discourse about diet and sexuality. To eat meat is detrimental to some extent in controlling one's sexual nature. The main disadvantage is that eating meat increases sexual desire. Consciousness exists in stones, but there is very little consciousness in stones, almost nothing. It is in vegetation that the evolution of consciousness begins. And consciousness increases as an animal form evolves into another animal form. In man, it is complete. With the advance in consciousness, sexuality also increases. The more the consciousness, the more the sexual longing. And the less the consciousness, the less the sexual longing. So if we eat meat, the degree of sexuality increases in us. But if we remain on vegetarian food, then it neither increases nor decreases.
So that if you were born very sexually active and are a vegetarian, you still will be. Just kidding.
Well, not necessarily.
Anyway,
Yeah, you will be, yeah. Very early the next morning, while the men were sitting quietly for their 2 hours of prayers, Masaji was heard shouting that Sufi had run away. This is the horse they had, the white horse, the Mera like.
They named him Sufi.
And Masaji, of course, means uncle. That was Baba's uncle who did the cooking and all that. Baba told them to catch the horse. For over 1 hour on foot and on bicycles, they chased Sufi through fields and ditches, and finally, after much difficulty, caught him. One of the men remarked he could have been named Satan instead of Sufi.
They must have been banged up a bit trying to catch him.
It's a fiery horse, and I guess he wasn't trained. Only Mera could ride him, I guess. She was very good with horses. Later in the afternoon, Rustom brought a horse trainer to examine Sufi, and without Baba's knowledge, the trainer mounted him. Baba was furious when he found out and told Rustom, Sufi was presented to me and he is now mine. How dare you exercise any proprietary right to my things? You should first ask my permission before touching something which belongs to me. Rustom begged his pardon and thus became aware of how much the master loved that horse. Considering that it belonged to his sister-in-law Mera, Rustom had told the trainer it was all right to ride the horse, but he later realized his mistake. Do you want to continue? Start with
It was April 27th. A Zoroastrian of Ahmednagar named Nursawan Naroji Sata, who was 27 years old, went out for a long stroll with his younger brother Pilu and happened to pass by Meherabad. From a distance they saw Meherabad sitting alone under a tree in a majestic pose. Nursawan thought, "Who is this person? He looks like Zarathustra." He approached while Pilu kept aloof, and the master lovingly had him sit beside him. They sat quietly for a while, and Nursawan kept having these thoughts. Is he really Zarathustra? Is this the prophet? Meher Baba then softly remarked in a cryptic tone, Zarathustra is born again, but people do not recognize him. Nursawan was startled, realizing the master had read his thoughts. Meher Baba then asked, "What do you do?" In a sincere manner, Nursawan answered, "I am a follower of Mahatma Gandhi and am taking an active part in the movement for national independence." Baba smilingly replied, "Give up all thought of political independence and concentrate on self-realization, which is real independence and true self-rule." Nursawan could not comprehend what he meant. Baba concluded, advising him, "Continue coming here and you will understand all that I am telling you." Nursawan was connected with a large and influential Zoroastrian family, and, due to his first meeting at Meherabad, the entire Satha group of relatives also became closely connected with Meher Baba, including his sister Gaimai and her family, the Jessawalas. This is Erich's
relatives.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
These
Sata
are
family
Sata, because they were,
from Nagpur.
the Jessawalas. Nursawan was very happy with this chance meeting and returned home in an ecstatic mood. Although Nursawan had first seen Meher Baba during 1921 at the housewarming ceremony of Kushru quarters, at which Upasani Maharaj had been the honorary guest, he had not known who he was, nor had he talked with him, yet he immediately felt drawn to Meher Baba. People from Ahmednagar were beginning to come for the master's darshan regularly, and Meherabad turned into a scene of great activity. On April 28th, Meher Baba declared this message to a gathering of local people who had come for his darshan. Divinity is an unlimited treasure. It is useless and pointless to contact a Sat Purush, a God-realized man, to gain material benefit. On April 29th, Ardeshir Rani, with his friend Faram of Karachi, came to meet Meher Baba, presenting him with fruit and sweets. Baba discussed with Ardeshir about planting a fruit orchard at Meherabad, similar to the ones in Persia. Orchard here, my men would have employment. Ardeshir was quite prepared to begin such work, and from that day began living at Meherabad as one of the mandali. Baba designated him Director of Agriculture and advised him to immediately begin to fertilize and improve the soil for the orchard. Ardeshir had been introduced to the master at Manzali Meem through Bidal, and even at that time he was eager to stay with the master. Baba had assured him he would call him later, and on this day Baba fulfilled that promise. However, the mandali were not so thrilled with this new addition to their circle. Ardeshir, a zealous Irani, was a tyrant and a ruthless overseer. This newly appointed Director of Agriculture literally worked the mandali to a breaking point. He worked them so hard on the land that most of them doubted whether they would live to see the orchard blooming, much less survive to taste its fruit.